What is Dental Year? Dental Year is the leading marketing app in dentistry. Created by marketers, this resourceful platform helps your dental practice in a variety of ways. Content inspiration, real-time marketing ideas, tips on ROI with your current methods, fresh resources, and lots more.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of Buzz. Thanks so much for tuning in. We know there's a lot of competition out there. NHL hockey season just started. You got Netflix, you got Hulu, you got YouTube. So we appreciate you joining us. It's going to be an epic episode because we have a very special guest. We have Alamin Uddin from NexHealth, who is the CEO and founder. Al, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me, Brad. Hopefully, this is more entertaining than the NFL. Yeah.
Well, first off, for anyone listening who doesn't know of NexHealth and their stealth mode scheduling widget, let's just tell us about that widget, and then I want to get into your entrepreneurial background, your entrepreneurial spirit, the company, features, trends in dentistry, a lot of good things I want to cover. But first and foremost, please let our audience know about the scheduling widget and how it works.
Yeah, definitely. So we're called NexHealth. We're very focused on the dental industry, and what we essentially do for our customers is we enable their patients to schedule appointments with them in real time from anywhere and anytime. So imagine your patient finding you on your Google My Business page at like 3 a.m. They can pick, they want an Invisalign treatment. They can pick, room number 2. They can say, hey, I want it to be the next day at 2 p.m. with, hygienist, whoever, and then we'll take all that information and we'll automatically synchronize and automatically, put it into your Open Dental, Dentrix, EagleSoft, whatever system you're using, all within 30 seconds. So it's very customizable. It's, it's read and write. It synchronizes well with all the dental systems out there, and it's very user-friendly for the patients, fully automated, both reading information and writing information into your system.
Incredible. This is like Open Table or Resi for restaurants. I don't know of any restaurants that don't use Open Table. And there's probably some outliers, right? There's probably like your Lou Malnati's in Chicago. The pizza takes forever. You expect and don't care. You're going to wait 2 hours. Maybe there's a famous burger place in LA. You stand out line. But I would say overall, like most restaurants need a scheduling platform. And this is like a dinner reservation for sushi at 8 p.m. Think about how more intricate and detailed a dental practice experience is with protocols and team members and operatories. Al, I predict within a year, every practice in North America will have a widget. That's my prediction. What's your prediction in terms of just like mass adoption with a widget?
Yeah, it's actually fascinating. I mean, we did some surveys with a few partners in the beginning of the year, and what we discovered is that 87% of dentists have never tried real-time scheduling, meaning, patient self-booking. They'll have like a form or something on their website, but actually, a patient being able to self-schedule and come into the office, like, Open Table or Resi, 87% of dentists have never tried it, which is a fascinating metric because it's the vast majority of dentists, right? So I would say, I think there's a lot of education that needs to be done in the industry on the benefits of real-time online scheduling, why patients want it, why as a normal everyday consumer, we expect the same conveniences as we get from elsewhere in our lives, right? And that education, I do think, will take some time, and that's part of what we're doing, part of, why I'm here even on this podcast, right?
Yeah.
So I want to say more like 2 to 3 years, but if you can get ahead of that curve as a dentist, you will have a much better brand, a much better patient experience than everyone else. You definitely don't want to be a late adopter here. But yeah, I think within the next 2 to 3 years, like if I'm a patient and I can't book an appointment online, I'm just not going to go to
Right.
Like,
it's that simple.
Yeah, it's that simple. Like I will go somewhere else where I can Google for a practice. I can schedule an appointment on my own time, fill out the information on my own time, and I'll go see that dentist, and not the dentist that expects me to give a phone call and then wait in the waiting area filling out a bunch of paperwork, right?
Yeah, I agree.
That's going to be the trend.
It's a no-brainer. I mean, it's going there. It's inevitable. Our clients who have already adopted the NexHealth platform, I was on a call yesterday, and they just they just integrated it like 3 weeks ago. And I was talking to Daniel yesterday. He's like, oh, by the way, dude, we love NexHealth. We've gotten 3 new patients this week. We're having all these patient confirmations. It's like one of the, I tell clients, it's one of those features that you turn on. You're like, how do I not have this earlier? Because you're going to get, put it this way, like for most great practices, the ones who are really dialed in, after 5 o'clock when you're closed or Fridays and the weekends, most practices may or may not even have an answering service. So statistics show if you called and get a voicemail at the practice or any business, 35% of those people are never calling back. On top of that, and Al, this is the really scary thing. Yeah. Forget dental. So many businesses around the web are powered by WordPress. People don't understand or even know if sometimes the contact forms on websites are even broken. I can't tell you how many times we'll take over a new website and we do a test submission. They're like, we didn't get it, or they think they might got it because the front desk is getting emails to the email address. Meanwhile, it's formatted differently from a WordPress form. And sometimes practices have broken forms for months, if not longer. They're literally missing all these leads, which is so scary and upsetting. And so for those offices, even if you have a form that's working, if there's a delay on that conversion, it drops. So why not offer some type of real-time scheduling as opposed to getting a question about insurance on a Sunday at 4 p.m. or an inquiry about when they could book? Why not just get a confirmation that someone did book?
Yeah. And I think, one thing we don't recognize enough is that millennials are in their 40s now, right? And millennials, throughout high school, throughout, college, grew up with the internet, right? And our behavior these days is, we want to go to a website and we want to be able to, do the thing we want to do, either, ordering something online and booking an appointment, whatever it is, right? In real time, right? And if I see a form, like, that doesn't matter if it works or not. It doesn't matter if it's great or not. If I see a form where I have to fill out a bunch of information and I know that, I'm going to get a call on my cell to book an appointment, I'm just not doing it.
Right.
Like, I'll tell you, I have do not disturb mode on my phone all the time because I get so many spam calls, like all of us these days do, right? And as an office, you don't want to be another spam call. You want to give your patients a way to book appointments, right? We've taken this thing so far, right? If you, for example, as a new patient, I can find you on Google, I can find you on Facebook, whatever, and I can book an appointment online, right? But for existing patients, right? With NexHealth, with existing patients, you can send your patients a recall message, like every 6 months or for whatever continuing care that they're due for, right? And then within that email or that text message, you can personalize and you can actually embed real-time availabilities within that text or email so that as a consumer, if I'm an existing patient, all I have to do is tap twice and I have that appointment. And the reason we can do that is because, we're integrated with your system, right? So we have all the patient's information. We know when they're supposed to come in. We know their first name. We know their last name. We know their phone number, their address, all those things, right? So we're taking this thing really, really far. We're making it really, really convenient for patients to just book appointments. Patients love it. Doctors love it. It is the future.
I think a new hashtag for your really great social media already, by the way, should be tap twice. Hashtag tap twice. So I love hearing you say this because I'm on the same page, obviously. It's a no-brainer. From the data you're seeing with NexHealth, with all these offices, like what percentage of people are booking on this platform after hours?
Oh, it's 77%, which, by the way, I was really surprised to see even myself, right? So 77% of appointments got booked after 6 p.m. With our platform. It's absolutely fascinating. If you give patients the convenience, they'll use it. But also, you have so many of your patients that are looking to book appointments with you after you close the office, and today you're just not giving them that option.
It's so interesting hearing you speak. So back in the day, or probably even today, offices are paying the Scheduling Institute 100 or 200 grand to consult on how to answer the phone. And it's so funny because you're like, you don't even want the phone call anymore. You're like, why would you spend 200 grand? They're a great program, and but it's so antiquated now to go that route. And especially there's so much turnover of practices with questions and all this. Put the scheduling widget, you'll have less form submissions, less calls, and more conversions. It's such a no-brainer. Now, we tell our clients, you still want to have a phone number on the website, of course, still offer a contact form. There are going to be people who are curious of what is the all-on-4 implant procedure.
Yeah.
Do you take my insurance? You never want to lose that human touch. And I actually encourage offices, even if you do implement a scheduling widget, don't lose the human touch. Pick up the phone, call that new patient, say, Amy, we just want to welcome you to our dental family. We're so looking forward to seeing you next Thursday at 10 a.m. Do you have any questions about parking, protocols, how long you'll be here? So you still have that relationship, but you're not losing the conversion on that website visit or Google My Business visit or Facebook, whatever it may be.
Yeah. I think a lot of customers will see real-time online scheduling and they'll hesitate because you lose that personal touch, right? And you lose that, at least that's what they assume it is, that you can't customize it exactly the way that my receptionist would do it, right? And that's also the great thing about what we did, which is we built this product to be really customizable, where you get to customize what you call the appointment. You get to customize, if you want to get a credit card before the patient books an appointment. You get to customize, the welcome email that the patient gets. You get to customize the text message, all those things, right? Like it's your office, you get to do whatever you want. We're just building the back-end technology, and you move pieces around, and you get to customize the whole thing, right? And yeah, I mean, you can get even more personal with NexHealth than I would say even a receptionist, because we know the patient's first name, we know where they live, we know their zip code, all those things, right? So it's I think what we built so far is a perfect analogy for that saying. I don't know if you ever heard of it, which is the future is already here. It's just not evenly distributed, right? So the 4,000 or so clients that are using us, they're living in the future.
Yeah.
And the other 150,000 or 200,000 dental offices that are still remaining, we'll get there eventually in the next 2 to 3 years.
It's amazing. I got a question back with the on the widget. If an office does want to implement like a $50 credit card hold, are you seeing that as a good idea, or are you seeing a drop off? I listened to this other podcast the other day, and I think this is different than an e-commerce shopping cart, but like abandoned shopping carts, it's like a $2 trillion problem on the internet or something. You see it's a good idea, and then I because that's been some of the pushback from some of our clients of like, we don't want no-shows. And like, so, but also if you put the credit card in there, people might be like, oh, like, why do I have to do this? I'm out. Like, what do you think?
Yeah, I think honestly, it all depends on your practice and the type of business you want to build with your practice, right? If you're busy, you already have a lot of patients, and you want to give your patients convenience, a better experience, and maybe you serve a more high-end neighborhood or a more high-end patient base, right? Then you should absolutely do the credit card. You should absolutely collect the credit card. Like every time I book an appointment with my barber, they take my credit card and they charge me $50, and they refund it eventually. But they do that, right? But that's because they know who they're serving, and I'm okay doing that every time as well. So it all depends on your business, right? But on the other hand, if you don't have a lot of patients, you're still looking to fill appointments. Maybe it's a new practice, right? And maybe you're in a neighborhood where the high volume matters a lot, right? Then you shouldn't do it. I think it all depends on you as a dentist, as a practice, what sort of image you have.
And then if they do decide to do it, is it $50 or it just depends? Or is there like a number that like is low enough that's doable but not high enough, where there's perception of value, or just like dependent on the office?
Yeah, you can customize the whole thing. You can do $10, you can do $25. It's really up to you, and you don't even have to actually charge the patient. You just keep the credit card. You just say, hey, we'll hold this number. There's a no-show fee, and we'll charge it if there's a no-show. Like a lot of our customers will just do that. They won't charge the patient; they'll just hold the credit card, and that works just as well.
Okay, and so I love this. So scheduling widget stealth mode. You obviously have other features. You just said no-show. I'm curious, like, how does your no-show feature actually work?
Yeah. Another great thing about our product is that, given that we're so tightly integrated with, all the dental systems out there, we can pick up when a patient no-shows. Either, the receptionist broke the appointment or they changed the status. It's all customizable. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take the patient's email or phone number and automatically send them an email and a text in whatever cadence you want, right? 2 days from now in real time, whatever it is, you can customize the whole thing. And then what we're going to also do is we're going to embed your availability for the next 3 days into that email, into that text message that we send, fully customizable for that specific patient. And then, they can just rebook an appointment. No issues happen sometimes, traffic, whatever it is, right? And, we just want to make it easy for the patient to just get back and see you again. Yeah.
So that's actually, okay. I was a little, so the ASAP list is more for anyone who needs to be seen. Like how does that differ from the ASAP feature?
Yeah. So the no-show is if a patient had an appointment and they just didn't show up.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And we'll follow up with that patient, try to get them back in. Right.
Right.
The ASAP list, on the other hand, are patients that want to get in sooner. Like they don't have an appointment yet, or maybe they do, but they want to get in sooner. Right. Maybe I want to see this specific dentist. I don't want to see anyone else. But she's booked out for the next 2 weeks, which is what happens often. Right. And I could get on an ASAP list, and if there's something that opens up last minute sooner, I'll go ahead and take that appointment, right? So I'm on that list now, and then what will happen simultaneously, actually. So let's say, for whatever reason, I have an appointment 2 weeks from now, right? And then all of a sudden tomorrow, there's a patient that no-shows at 2 p.m., right? So we'll text that patient that no-showed and say, hey, you missed your appointment, book another appointment. And at the same time, we'll text you, the patient on the ASAP list, like, hey, there's a new slot that just opened up at 2 p.m. Do you want to come in? So we try to, it's like we cover every base, if you can think about it, right? Yeah. So the patient that no-showed, get them back in, or cancel their appointment, right? Get them back in. And, someone that wants to get in sooner, we can also text them as well, just to get that, slot filled.
And is there a way, excuse me, obviously this is people who are already scheduled, you got the information, but let's say someone did come through a contact form or a chat widget or an email, or they call the office and they're like, all right, well, I don't want to book now, but I'll let you know. So I don't know, most offices might not have their own quote unquote CRM, but like, what's that? Is there like an area to like, okay, Brad called, he was interested in a cleaning, he just wasn't sure availability and he was on the fence. We haven't heard from him for 3 weeks. Do they input my name and number somewhere as like a soft lead, and can they reach out to me or nurture me on a text?
Yeah, you can. So there are ways of getting in touch with those patients. It's a little bit tricky because, before we can text patients, you have to get their consent.
Okay.
Right. Hey, we'll email you or text you. But as long as you get their consent, we can send out emails and text messages to leads as well. We have automated text messages, or one time just a general email blast or text blast to this patient.
I just
it does get tricky.
Also, I just want to make sure our office is listening. Yeah. Sometimes you might get an inquiry through a form or a referral that just doesn't convert, and I know for sure a lot of offices, the front desk, it's like a one-time phone call and email, and they're done with it. There's no systems in place for follow-ups, nurturing. Kind of like how normal companies have Salesforce or a CRM. You send an email, blah, blah, blah. I'm sure some people listening on this call have heard, get on our email list after they send us a note, or I call them once every few months, just part of it. So a lot of offices don't have that quote unquote CRM nurturing status. So anyone listening, figure out a system, because you might not convert everyone right away, especially if you're not using the widget properly. So you want to make sure that lead, quote unquote, isn't lost, and your front desk has a way to track it or reach out and then potentially get them scheduled through NexHealth.
I mean, we can handle reaching out to that patient through an email or a text message.
So I love the features. I love the technology. NexHealth is obviously a behemoth. We might see it on, NASDAQ down the road. This is how much I believe in the platform of the company and the leadership and everyone I know. I'm just stoked for you guys. I'm stoked to be partnered up with you. Let's just
appreciate it.
I want to hear about you as a fellow entrepreneur, your entrepreneurial spirit. Like, where were you when this epiphany hit? Where were you? What happened to be like, I need to create this?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, like for me personally speaking, right, I've always been motivated by having impact at scale. And I don't mean, like charity work or something like that. What I really mean is, building something, creating something that actually, has an impact on people and their everyday lives, right? Like inspirations for me are, for example, Uber or, DoorDash or, Airbnb, Tesla, Apple, Microsoft, right? You can create a product or service that just totally transforms how people live their lives, right? I mean, we have, like, I'm on a MacBook right now, in my San Francisco apartment talking to you, like 6 hours from here, right? And that's fascinating. That totally reorients how we work, how we live, how we communicate, where we can live, things like that, right? And that this wouldn't have existed, if not for Steve Jobs or Bill Gates, right? So that always inspired me, and I think, and my background, my story is that I'm a self-taught developer. I've always been into technology, and I was a pre-med student actually, and I was going to undergrad college. And one of the things you have to do when you're an undergrad doing pre-med, I think most of the audience here will know, is that you have to show that you have some exposure to the field of medicine. You have to like shadow doctors or to do like free volunteering or something. I've always been more entrepreneurial, more I would say savvy. So I just got a job in the Bronx as a receptionist at a doctor's office. And in that office, I was doing the job that our product really replaces, right? Which is I was calling people, patients to get them back in the office. I was calling insurance carriers, pharmacies, labs, all sorts of phone calls, right? And I thought, hey, look, this is like 2014, 2015. We live in the age of the internet. This should all be completely automated. Like my job could be so much easier, or could even be like part of it could be replaced, and I can do other things, right? And yeah, so I created the system, the product. I have a co-founder who's just a computer science genius. Roped him into the project, quote unquote project. That's how I pitched it to him at that time, anyways. And yeah, we worked on the core technology, like being able to automate, not only fully customize all the information you need from a patient, right, and enable them to book an appointment, right, like on their own, but the backend system to then synchronize all that data with Dentrix, with Eaglesoft, with all these on-prem server-based systems. That's really, really difficult, right? Yeah, so we worked on that for like 2+ years, and we launched back in early 2018, and since then we've seen the technology just take off. Yeah, and so far we raised close to $50 million in venture funding. We have the who's who of Silicon Valley backing us, and we're looked at in Silicon Valley, at least we're looked at as the company, the household name that will transform dentistry and healthcare. You don't have a company right now in our space, right? Like the Ubers or the DoorDash or the Airbnbs, right? Or the Google or the Microsoft, right? In our space yet, right? And I think we will be one of those first companies. Yeah.
Oh man, I got the goosebumps, dude. That's so exciting. I love it. Why is it that most successful enterprise SaaS companies usually have like two co-founders together? Is it just more synergistic? Like, what's the rationale behind that?
Yeah, I think it's not that most SaaS companies have two co-founders. I think it's more of a survivorship bias, right? It just the ones with the two founders tend to survive and succeed.
Survivorship bias,
right?
Holy cow! Okay.
Yeah. You should look it up. It's actually a fascinating concept. Yeah, it's just that two. So I think that's what it is, right? Which is you just have usually companies with two partners or two founders tend to succeed for whatever reason. You'll have exceptions, of course, right?
Yeah.
And I think the reason is that there's a clear division of labor and a clear trust and a clear friendship in the early days.
Yeah.
Like I had that with my co-founder, and I've known him for a while. We come from similar backgrounds. Both of us are technical, but I know that he's way better at the technology side than I am, right? And then he knows that I'm way better at the business side and the product side, like building the features, talking to customers than I am, and we have this like very clear division of labor, right? And that's worked really, really well for us. When you add in a third person or a fourth person, I think it gets more complicated because you don't have that one-to-one relationship anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's survivorship bias, I would say. Yep.
Unbelievable. And for anyone listening who's working the front desk at a dental office right now who has an epiphany for an idea, a feature, a product, could be in dental or out of dental, what would you give him or her advice for going ahead with that venture?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is, when it comes to like creating new things, from like 0 to 1, creating something from nothing, right? I think people tend to overthink it. Like, like what's going to be my marketing plan? What's going to be my sales plan? What are the features that I'm going to go build? All those things, right? Where's the funding going to come from? All those things, right? My general advice is no one truly knows what they're doing. Everyone is figuring it out as they go, right? I am, the CEO of Microsoft is everyone really, like we haven't lived this life before. All of us were doing this for the first time, right? So my general advice is like, just get started. Just literally get started, build something that you want to build, just go ahead and do it, and you'll figure it out as you go, be open-minded. have a learning mindset, growth mindset, right? And just get started, build something that talk to customers, potential customers at all times. Yeah, and if you do it long enough, you'll figure it out and you'll be successful. It's as simple as that. It's really hard to do, by the way. I mean, it sounds really simple, but it's hard to do. But that's generally what I say. Get started and you'll figure it out. Yeah.
I love that advice. Very inspiring. In 0 to 1, Peter Thiel, I mean, obviously his book is pretty timeless as well. And I love hearing, whenever that book came out, he gave a bunch of talks at Stanford and whether it's Y Combinator or whatever. And I always listen to those speeches because they're really timeless. And kind of what you said, no one's created a NexHealth before in this environment or this client, right? Maybe there's a reason 87% of dental offices have never tried real-time booking because there's never been a chance to, right? Like it's, and so like even us, we just launched a new app called Dental Times. We have another app called Dental Year. It's like, there's not a marketing or business book out there that I could read. Yeah. There's like, I read the app books, but it's like, these books were written 8 years ago and it's a whole different climate, right? So we literally have to iterate, pivot. I'm reading this fascinating book here. I just got it. It's called Get Different. It's marketing that can't be ignored. And I just love what Michaelowitz, whatever, is talking about because it's more just getting you in the frame of mind to like come up with different ideas. Like everyone uses the same 7 or 8 platforms for marketing. They're in the Google AdWords, and you kind of have to do a lot of these like no-brainer things that actually work and convert, and get ROI. But like, where are you standing out and being different? And I actually think the scheduling widget alone is like one of those big time different offers because every other office has no widget. They got the same old boring template website, blah, 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 blah. And I want to just book and get done with it and get on with my day, right? And so that's a different approach for an office to implement a scheduling widget and how you get more quality traffic to your website through SEO, website development, video, social media. You got to be different out of the box with that also because nowadays, if you bring a template approach and you're boring and you're not sharing your unique story, well, in the reality, it doesn't even matter if you have a widget or not because you're not getting new patients, right? You have to tap into patients that love you. You have to crank out content. You got to care. You got to hire the right team members. And when you do all these things and you implement smart technology like a NexHealth, you scale, right? And it's very exciting when you get it right.
Yeah. I mean, the internet's come in and transformed how we live and how we think, right? I mean, every patient in the world has access to all sorts of information. I can, Google, like before the 2000s, I had to, I don't even know what we did, to be honest. I'm too young for this, but like how do we navigate things? How do we find a dentist? We had to call, go on the yellow books or like call 1-800-dentist, right? Now it's on my fingertips. I have a lot of information, right? But the fact that I have a lot of information also means that it all gets undifferentiated, right? Like everyone looks the same to me because it's all on my fingertips, right? So you really do have to stand out. And like if you're one of those 13% that actually uses some sort of a scheduling widget, you stand up.
Speaking of Google and what a behemoth and one of the best business models, if not the best in the history of business, Google AdWords. I mean, it's brilliant and how, I mean, every day you read about Alphabet, where they're spending, where they're investing. It is unbelievable. But for our audience's purpose, everyone has to focus on their Google My Business, Google AdWords. Do you recommend on the Google My Business, how there's an option to put like scheduling link? Should they use their NexHealth scheduling widget on the Google My Business as well? And if so, is it the same URL that's on their website or different?
Oh yeah, you should definitely use some sort of a real-time online scheduling on your Google My Business, on your Yelp, on your Instagram, on your Facebook, anywhere that a patient can find you. I would highly recommend it. Primarily because all of us have a smartphone these days. It's a small screen. I can just tap on it and I can just book an appointment, right? And I mean, it also depends on like what the actual URL is. Like at NexHealth, we can customize that URL so those patients are actually coming from Google and not just your website, right?
Nice.
Or it could be the same URL. Either one works, but we are able to customize it so where that traffic or where that patient is coming from. Yeah.
Incredible. Al, there is so much more I want to talk to, but if you don't mind, I know you're busy. Let's just have you on again soon. I want to talk HIPAA compliant forms. I want to talk email newsletters. I want to talk all these other features. I want to learn more about where you find inspiration from brands, whether it's podcasts or books, like talking to high level performers and entrepreneurs like yourself. It's amazing. It's so awesome having you on the call. If there's anything else you want to share now, please let me know. But I want to have you back with some fresh stuff because I got to tell you, I got impact at scale, survivorship bias. I mean, I don't even know what to name this episode yet. You got so many phrases coming up.
Yeah. Yeah, awesome. No, I'm happy to come back. Love talking to you. Love talking to our customers on a daily basis. By the way, where I find inspiration is from our customers. I love talking to customers and their stories. They're entrepreneurs at heart. That's why they run their own practice, right?
Sure.
So, anyways, happy to come back.
I agree. I love it too. It's amazing. And for anyone interested in a demo with NexHealth, Al, we'll just drop a link on this podcast description. But anyone listening on Stitcher, iTunes, Amazon, YouTube. Al, anywhere special, or just go to nexhealth.com for a demo? What's best?
Yeah. Just go to nexhealth.com without the T, NEXHEALTH.com. You can, click on see a demo. And then, we have great, very consultative sales reps, and they will, run a full diagnostic of your practice and actually help you figure out, whether we're the right fit for you or not. So, just go to nexhealth.com and you'll be able to see a demo.
Beautiful. Al, thanks so much for having or joining us on this podcast. It's been a pleasure and an honor.
Yep, of course. Thanks for having me as well, Brad. This was fun.
Awesome. And everyone, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Buzz. If you get creative, focus, and try new things, especially implementing a scheduling widget on your dental website, you'll have more success and without question, be a wizard of Buzz. Take care, and we'll see you in the next episode.
If you're looking for more reach, engagement, and conversion with your dental practice marketing, download the Dental Year app today.